right, everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to the GMC annual membership meeting. My name's Peggy Kelsey, board chair of the GMC, at least for 90 more minutes. And welcome to the Public Service Building. As you know, we've intentionally moved our meeting location around to introduce our members to Milwaukee spaces and places. Today, I am very pleased to share my workplace with you. And now a bit about this space. Construction on the Public Service Building, or as we call it, the PSB, started in 1902 and was completed in 1905. It was built as the central terminal and office building for the Milwaukee Electric Railway and Light Co., from which your favorite local electric utility was born. The PSB was designed by well-known architect Herman Esser, who helped design other Milwaukee landmarks, including Jesu Church and Greg Marcus, where are you? The Pfister Hotel. Electric train lines eventually reached as far as Watertown, Sheboygan, Kenosha, and Burlington, and the final line closed in 1951. You may be wondering why we have this beautiful Art Deco auditorium hidden in this office building. It was first created for community events and served as a venue for USO dances and draftee orientation during World War II. Indoor softball, cooking demonstrations, and, this is my favorite part, Milwaukee's first holiday folk fair. You may have noticed, and if you didn't, take a look on your way out, you'll see the original ticket window for these events is still in the wall. Today we use this space for company meetings and events, and we continue the original purpose, namely to share it for community events as well. So I'm thrilled you could be here to experience it today. As you leave the meeting today, I invite you to look above the main doors through which you entered the Public Service Building. Either the second floor from where we are now, so the overlook to the lobby, or downstairs when you get to the lobby before you exit. You're going to see a beautiful stained glass depiction of a buzzing beehive in copper relief. This is my favorite fun fact in this building. It was meant to symbolize, back in the day, the buzz of activity in the PSB. And I can attest that on many days, it is a very apt metaphor for our work in this building, serving our customers. Originally, the PSB accommodated electric interurban trains, which came in through the first floor of this building through very large green car barn doors on the east and west sides of the building. You can see that on the slide behind me. Again, when you exit, if you look at the east or the west facades today, you will see replicas of those doors. It is now my pleasure to welcome two new GMC members to today's meeting and into membership. I believe both are here, but I hear one may not be. If you're here, just stand or give a big wave. Tom Pasta from Bader Rudder. Tom, are you here? No, and Pat Cresson from Grafe. Pat, if you're here, no, all right. We look forward to getting to know Tom and Pat better and including their perspectives and their leadership in our work. So after 2 great years, today is my last meeting as chair of the GMC, and I complete my term with overwhelming gratitude. First, I want to thank Joel Brennan. Joel was just finishing his rookie year as our president when I began my term as chair. I've learned so much during my time with Joel. As a member of the search committee that selected Joel for this role, I was quite confident in Joel's capabilities to lead the GMC. Over the past 2 years, my appreciation for Joel only grew. We are all truly fortunate to have you at the helm, Joel. Next, the GMC. Next, the GMC staff. Together, this small and mighty team works together to help the GMC achieve its very lofty goal to make Milwaukee the best place to live, work, learn, play, and stay for all. It has been a true honor to play a small part in helping you succeed. Thank you for your commitment to the GMC and to Milwaukee. A hand for the GMC staff, please. And now I turn to the GMC members and community partners, many of whom are with us today. You all are the heart of the GMC. You continue to recognize that the GMC is special and it is vital. Together we are motivated to address Milwaukee's biggest challenges, and together we deliver on the GMC's motto every day: it can be done. Last but not least, our incoming chair, Dave Anderson. Dave, thank you for saying yes. He's got a funny, puzzled look on his face. I have no doubt you will harness the strength of your leadership, your relationships, and your commitment to Milwaukee to help the GMC do great things in the years ahead. And you know you can count on me to help. And now I have a few things to do before finishing my term as chair, so without further ado, I would like to conduct the always exciting business portion of the annual meeting. Pursuant to written notice, Heather's gonna, magically change the slide. Pursuant to written notice previously mailed to all members, I hereby call to order the business meeting portion of the 2025 annual meeting of the Greater Milwaukee Committee. All of you received a copy of the minutes from the 2024 annual meeting via email, and a copy is also on the screen. Do I have a motion to dispense with the meeting of the minutes and to approve the minutes? Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you for that. I'm happy to report that the GMC had a balanced budget in 2024, and our annual audit is being conducted by Riley, Penner, and Benton. The GMC Board of Directors approved the 2025 budget. The vast majority of GMC operations, as you know, are supported by member dues. In addition, of course, to your continued strategic engagement, and we very much appreciate your commitment to this organization. All 2025 dues notices have been mailed out to members. We appreciate the many members who've paid your dues already, and if you have not done so, please make that a priority. All right, up next, director election. The following slate is being presented for election to the Board of Directors for the term ending in February of 2028. They are indicated in the third column on this slide. The other columns indicate those continuing service for their terms. Joanne Anton, Kimo Ayun, Jim Pop, Jonas Priesing, Mark Sablejack, Mary Ellen Stanek, and Greg Wesley all standing for election. Do I have a motion to accept the slate as presented by the Board of Directors? And a second. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. That passes as well. And a quick reminder to all GMC board members who are with us today, if you could please stick around right at the end of the meeting for our lightning fast board meeting to approve the officers. I would appreciate it. And now I would like to invite Joel Brennan to the podium to share GMC updates and introduce our first speaker. Joel.
Peggy just took the clicker with her, so Heather, somebody's going to have to help me with this, but that's okay. That's okay. And Peggy, I hope you'll just, for just a second, maybe stay here, because it is tradition that when a chair ends his or her term of service to the GMC, that we provide something for you. And it's only, I think it's reflective of your service to the GMC, your service to the community, that on a day that we're supposed to be honoring you, you're hosting us for this meeting. So it's just an example of your selflessness and what you have contributed to your community and to the GMC. And I personally would tell you that I just appreciate everything that you have brought to this and the leader that you are in the community. The Greater Milwaukee Committee is It was set up 77 years ago to, I think, try to demonstrate for the larger community in Wisconsin and to the world that Milwaukee can elevate itself in where we are in the nation and where we are in the globe. And so it really is a self-identified community of leaders. But at times, some step up or are asked to step up to show even more of that leadership. And Peggy, you have been the right leader at the right time for the organization, so I want to say thank you to you. We do have a little token of that, of our appreciation for you, and Heather will bring that up. And what this is a bag. People may not know that Peggy is quite a traveler, and in her own family for quite a while, they would do secret places that they were traveling to. So her kids and her husband, maybe her husband might have been in on it from time to time, but they wouldn't even know where they were going. They'd go to the airport not knowing she would pack their suitcases for them, and she did this for years and still does it. Well, now she has to do it with a little bit of compromise because there are grandchildren and other things that you need to make accommodations for. So this bag and the passport holder that we share with you are hopefully things that you will take with you and remember us on your journeys in the years to come. So thank you, Peggy. I want to welcome, I think there's a slide of the guests who are joining us today, a number of whom are going to be kind of handling or helping with the discussions that you have going on today. We really appreciate, a lot of these are stakeholders from the community who are involved on the ground doing work in public safety in Milwaukee. So we appreciate all of you joining us today. I'm going to give just a couple updates on some of the work that's going on with some of the groups that we have here. I'm going to look over my shoulder and make sure you can see outlined behind me some of your colleagues and some of you who are involved in work that we're doing on the 4 pillars that the Greater Milwaukee Committee is working on. One thing to note, our fiscal strength co-chairs, Betsy Brenner and David Gay, met with the mayor who joins us today and who'll be speaking in a little bit to outline priorities for 2025 around fiscal strength and the partnership between the Greater Milwaukee Committee and the city, and how we can work as closely as possible together with the mayor's innovation director and other colleagues there in 2025. Last week, we hosted a second Lakefront Gateway convening at the Milwaukee Art Museum, and more than 40 people representing private, nonprofit, public sector partners on the lakefront gathered there, and we collectively have identified pedestrian access as one of the most pressing immediate issues on the lakefront, and are actively seeking resources, state, federal, to improve that overall access from the downtown to the lakefront. If you just think about the investment that's been made, $1 billion from Northwestern Mutual, the Couture and that investment, just everything that's happened just to the west and north of those lakefront destinations, we've talked for a long time around how do we make sure and ensure that there is the right kind of access for pedestrians and those who want to use our lakefront, and that's become only more urgent with the investments that have been made there. And so we're trying to, in some ways, complete some of the missing pieces on the lakefront, and I'm thrilled that this group has come together, and there'll be more to come with that in the months to come. Our Milwaukee Appraiser Diversity Initiative kicked off recently with the first of a series of convenings that'll take place over the next 8 months. Some of that work includes preparation and online instruction, and our team was happy to report that every one of the 10 cohort members came to that first session prepared, already at work on the educational aspects of the Milwaukee Appraiser Diversity Initiative. So we'll continue to give you updates on that moving forward. I want to say just a note around education. I think some of you, I know at least some of you, took part in conversations, community conversations that happened last week with the 3 final candidates for superintendent for the Milwaukee Public Schools. And that happened just a few days after the most recent NAEP scores. If you're familiar with that, these are scores that come out every 2 years. And I think all of us who looked at that can say that those are unacceptable results. They're kind of continuing more of the same, but we can't be anesthetized to where we are with education in this community. So I thought it was very constructive. I think the candidates that came to Milwaukee, have a breadth of experience, have some connections, all of them to the Midwest. That process is ongoing, and I know a number of us who are part of those conversations have weighed in directly. The county executive, the mayor are here today. They've had opportunities to have conversations with those candidates as well. There are, huge, important decisions that are made, and this community needs to stand behind whoever that leader is. To the extent you have an opinion on that, and you want or will weigh in on that, I have done that personally with my board of director, MPS director, whose neighborhood I live in. You are welcome to do that as a stakeholder as well. So I welcome anybody who wants to engage in any dialogue on that. I had some clear thoughts about of the candidates there, but I welcome people to make their own, pass their own judgment on that, or to talk to me about that as well. One other thing related to education is that within the next week, the governor will release his proposed budget, his proposed biennial budget, and then that kind of starts the work going with the state legislature on what the next 2 years of the biennium are going to look like. I had conversations with a few of you in the room last week, and there are ongoing conversations with those names behind me that you see who are working on our education issues in Milwaukee around early childhood. We have challenges in early childhood, we have challenges in K-12, we certainly have challenges in higher ed, but one of those places where there is an absolute cliff coming is in the end of June of this year. All of the federal money that has been used to kind of prop up our somewhat challenged, or in some ways failing early childhood education system, those run out absent action from the legislature and the governor. So I made a pledge to some of the leaders in this room, and we will continue to, that we'll try to find ways for you to effectively and efficiently communicate with the legislature as those are ongoing, because that's a pressing need in this community. There are a number of us who work on that issue every day, but it's not only one around K-12 education and where kids are going in terms of their educational future, but it's very important to our workforce as well. So that's one area that you'll continue to hear from us on. Our Public Safety Committee met at Bader Philanthropies and helped to shape the content for this meeting and that last meeting about 2 weeks ago. You can see the names on the screen there who have been working on that, and you may likely be sitting at a table with one of these community leaders who's been part of the conversation in recent months. You're going to hear more from Dan Bader in a couple of minutes, but I just want to acknowledge the work that Dan, his co-chair Ernell Lucas, who's sitting here in front, have done, assisted by my colleague Langston Verdeen. We have, over the last several months, created a platform for the Milwaukee Police Department, who's represented today here by Heather Huff, the city, the county, the district attorney, the chief judge, public defenders, and others to converse freely with business and civic leaders. Those conversations happen sometimes with all those partners, but the more intentional and directed that we can make them, the stronger the results will be for our community. So I really appreciate, I think we all appreciate the work that you have done. You'll recall that part of our 2024 focus on public safety included the commissioning of several levels of analysis by our partners at the Wisconsin Policy Forum. One of those outcomes was an analysis called Arresting Developments was released, which was released in December. Rob Henkin, who I think is here with us today, told me that he had a conversation with the city's Committee on Public Safety and Health within the last week or two, and it was one of the most thoughtful conversations that he, as somebody who analyzes policy, has had with policy makers. These are, not easy issues to address. There have been reductions in arrests over the last several years. There are things that we're doing around police contacts with the community, and those have gone down. And to hear Rob say that policymakers, to their credit, at the city level, at the municipal, at the county level, are taking this seriously, and that there wasn't hyperbole associated with it, just how do we get to a better result with this? I think that's the reason why we as a community invest in research. It's the reason why the Policy Forum is so important to us. So we hope you were able to view the video overview of that report that we shared last week, which outlines, among other things, also the downward trend in crime rates in the last few years. The fact that while we have that downward trend, we're still not at our pre-pandemic levels. However, even with those, with things going in that direction, perception and the national narrative paint a picture of growing danger in our cities, including Milwaukee. So a group of GMC community leaders have spent the last several months delving into the community's approach to crime and public safety, learning more about efforts to respond to violent actions, to find ways to stop crimes before they can scar our city and its residents. Understanding how we can continue to improve results and make people safer in our community is one of our pillars, and every one of us plays a role in the community's success on this issue. And our community public safety efforts are carried out by both uniformed officers and by organizations committed to creating change in neighborhoods. As the mayor is going to share with you shortly, the ongoing conversations about the number of uniformed officers in Milwaukee were generally answered for about the next 10 years when the state legislature passed Act 12 in 2024. That legislation sets out the required number of officers for the next decade. The mayor is also going to outline for us that retirements, demographics, national sentiments about the careers in law enforcement, and other challenges mean that just getting to those required numbers is a community challenge that we must rise to meet. So what we're required to do around public safety is pretty much laid out for us for the next decade. A good amount of our focus today and moving forward is on what else we can do, what else we have been doing as a community to support, complement uniformed law enforcement. In Milwaukee, that's taken the form of violence interruption efforts by the city, partnership with the Medical College of Wisconsin, known as 414 Life, and Milwaukee County. As you can see from the slide here behind me, the resources dedicated to these efforts have been significant, and many of them have come from the Federal America Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA. These resources that have spurred street-level violence prevention efforts will run out in 2026. The federal requirements around ARPA were that all the money had to have been spent by the end of next year. Thus, we must, as a community, analyze what impact these have had in assisting law enforcement. We need to make sure that all the resources we have are being deployed efficiently and effectively. And then we must decide if we can find, either through the public sector, philanthropy, or a combination of both, the resources to maintain or grow these efforts. Those of us involved in the GMC-led discussions on public safety have had the chance to listen and learn from people involved with efforts like 414 Life, David Muhammad from Milwaukee County, who's here with us today, and representatives from the city's Office of Wellness and Community Safety. But the landscape is changing, and today's an opportunity for you to hopefully become a little better informed, share your perspective, provide some direction for the work that Dan, Ernell, and other stakeholders are doing in the coming months. We're honored to have a number of stakeholders here who are working to advance those efforts to create a safer Milwaukee. Many of them will help direct your table conversations. Bookending that, we're going to hear from a few specific stakeholders deeply involved in that work, including Mayor Cavalier Johnson, Dan Bader, who's the co-chair of our Public Safety Committee, and Kent Laverne, the District Attorney of Milwaukee, who I think is going to have a special appearance from the County Executive as well. But we're going to start with our first speaker. I would welcome Mayor Cavalier Johnson.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Joel, for laying the groundwork for this conversation we're going to have around public safety here in Milwaukee. I'm going to start with these words, and hopefully they are on the screen. Heather, thank you very much. Accountability and prevention. Accountability and prevention. These are the words that guide our two-pronged approach to improving public safety here in Milwaukee. Now, accountability, of course, is pretty straightforward. Our police department, the Milwaukee Police Department, the prosecutors here in our community, the courts, they all have essential roles to play here in that continuum. I want people to think when they may have something that comes to mind where they want to harm somebody in our community, they want to create some harm for public safety. I want them to pause, I want them to stand down, and I want them to think. I want them to think about what's going to happen on the back end of that. And what's going to happen on the back end of that is that, one, they're going to be caught, and then two, they're going to be held accountable. Prevention is a complementary approach, helping to guide people towards positive behaviors here in our community. That can include teaching, it can include economic opportunity, it can include direct intervention, it can even include physical changes to our roadways in order to prevent things like reckless driving from occurring on our streets. Here's some crime data for the city of Milwaukee. I don't know if you can see that very well. Looks like it's pretty clear, but here are the facts, right? I think, a lot of times when we have discussions around this, as Joel said, that the narrative out there is that cities are more dangerous than ever, when the reality is that cities are becoming more and more safe. And the fact of the matter is that crime in Milwaukee is down. Crime is down in our city. Now, at the top of the slide, you'll see the homicide trend. Last year, the number of homicides in Milwaukee was down 23% compared to the previous year. And when compared to 2 years ago, homicides in Milwaukee are down nearly 40%. Nearly 40% reduction in homicides here in the city. The numbers that are in green, those are the numbers that show the positive trends towards crime as reflected in a range of categories. So there's a lot of green on the screen behind me, and that's good news. That means we're making improvements in those crime categories. But overall, serious crime, or what the FBI describes as Part 1 crime, is down 12% when compared to the last 2 years. Every single quarter, and some of you may have seen this already, I stand with the chief of the Milwaukee Police Department, Chief Jeffrey Norman, the head of our Office of Community Wellness and Safety, and very soon with our new district attorney, Kent Laverne, to share the latest numbers. That's our own accountability, and reporting those numbers helps us to keep on track with the goals that we set for ourselves to keep pushing Milwaukee to be a safer and safer city, and quite frankly, just letting folks in this community know what the trends are, what to look out for, because everybody, in my opinion, has a role to play as it relates to public safety in Milwaukee. And the good news is this, is that we're not letting up. We're simply not doing that. We're embracing the targets that Joel talked about, including those in Act 12, of maintaining the number of police officers, and in fact, increasing those numbers. I know the state legislation requires us to hit a certain number every year, not go beneath what we had the previous year, and continue to grow the number of police officers. But in reality, that was my goal all along when I got elected mayor, was to grow the number of folks, police officers serving in the Milwaukee Police Department. So we face severe budgetary consequences if we don't meet those statutory requirements. We'd face a cut in our state shared revenue if we're not continuing to grow the number of police officers in our department to the tune of over $10 million, which of course is an incentive for us to keep up the work of working to recruit more people to serve in our police department. But this is the reality though. For Milwaukee, and not just Milwaukee, I mean, I talked to mayors literally all over the country, and cities across the United States, and not even just cities, just communities all across the country. It's difficult. It's grown far more difficult to attract people into the policing profession. So we're not seeing the numbers of applicants we used to see for positions in our police department. And because of that, it's prompted us to be more innovative in our approach. So now we're recruiting experienced officers from other forces. We're doing more outreach. We've changed our recruiting schedule from these time tests to continuous recruitment throughout the year and other things. And I hope that in the near future, we'll have a labor agreement with our police union that includes some boost in pay to further help to retain the police officers that we have. On to the prevention side, our Office of Community Wellness and Safety, formerly known as the Office of Violence Prevention, is a key part of the prevention work that we do here in Milwaukee. It includes our critical response team, violence interrupters who, through some of their lived experiences and knowledge of gang dynamics, they go and they help to diffuse situations that otherwise might turn into violent interactions with folks. They intervene in high-risk situations before they escalate, and they help to mediate those sort of conflicts. Last year, this was done literally hundreds and hundreds of times in neighborhoods across Milwaukee, again, helping to curb violence before it starts. The Promise Keepers initiative includes 4 promise zones in neighborhoods across the city: Old North Milwaukee, North Division and Harambe, the Washington Park neighborhood, and the near South Side. This effort does community assessments, identifying emerging safety issues in those areas, while also building trust with folks who are in those neighborhoods on the ground. We've got credible clinicians and healers who are providing trauma-informed care and mental health care to people who have been impacted by violence. This work can be initiated by our police when the police goes out and has interaction with folks. The goal is to reduce retaliation and promote healing through therapy, through yoga, through restorative justice circles, and more. And just like the critical response team that I talked about just a little bit earlier, this work has served literally hundreds and hundreds of people in Milwaukee over the course of the last year. Milwaukee also offers emergency relocation and safe housing support when urgent needs arise. Last year, we assisted dozens and dozens of families that needed a safe place to stay. And these things are on top of the work that are happening over at Milwaukee County, and the county exec may touch on a number of these things already has a chance to speak, but the Credible Messengers program the county has, the No Wrong Door policy that the county has employed, all help in our continuum to make our city safer and provide preventative measures for folks here in our community. Prevention, though, doesn't just happen on the front lines. Right? It's not just those direct investments or those direct engagements on the street that are the means for prevention in this community. Our prevention strategy takes the long view too, because I want young people to see positive opportunities in their future. So both of the programs that you see listed here, our Earn and Learn Summer Youth Jobs program that's been around for quite some time. Looking across the room, I don't know who else is probably as young as I am, but I participated in Earn and Learn when I was a kid. County exec, did you participate in Earn and Learn when you were a kid? All right, so county exec and I both have participated in these very same programs, and our siblings and cousins and other young people who may otherwise go into a situation that they should not be, participate in these programs. And it's not just Earn and Learn, it's our Camp Rise program as well, which offers young people information, guidance, exposure to productive work, and they get real paychecks. Earn and Learn is a work experience effort that teens and people in their early 20s in our community get the chance to take part in. And over the years, as I said, this has been around for some time, it's been tens of thousands of young people in our community who have had the opportunity to participate in that. Camp Rise is a newer program, one that I started when I became mayor. And it's a unique program where we engage with even younger cohort of children, kids between the ages of 10 and 13 years old. And as I've talked to mayors across the country and attend the United States Conference of Mayors, I am not familiar with any other city in the United States, any other major city in our entire country that has a program similar to this. So we have set a national model where we're helping kids who otherwise may be recruited into stealing cars and things like that to show them the positive way in life. So really, when you stack these programs up, we've got the opportunity to engage with young people in Milwaukee in a positive way from 10 years old all the way until they're about 24 years old if they stay with us and continue to participate in our programs. As Joel mentioned, these programs, though, and the support for these programs is drying up. ARPA is drying up. And as I think about these programs in particular, Earn and Learn and Camp Rise, I think each and every single year, because I've seen this sort of full circle, right? I was a participant in these programs growing up. I was a staff member in the mayor's office, and so I sat with Tom Barrett when he was mayor. And watched them to fundraise for these programs. I was an administrator of these programs when I worked previously at Employ Milwaukee. So I've seen the whole circle on this. And now I'm, of course, mayor myself and help to fundraise to keep these programs going. So I've seen the beginning and I've seen the end of these programs. But what I can tell you, though, is that everybody benefits when these programs are around, right? It's good for public safety, because those kids are not in a position where they're going to go and do something bad, right? They're having something positive, some positive reinforcement each and every single day. And when they have that, they want to continue to receive that sort of positive reinforcement. It's a good thing for workforce development pipelines, because kids that's why the program is called Earn and Learn, right? They're earning, but they're also learning about whether or not these are jobs that they want to do. And you're building that workforce pipeline for the future, for the people who are in this room and even beyond this room. And then it's also a good thing just for kids and family, just to make sure, just to show them that this community cares about them. And this community is pouring into programs that are important to them. So the way that I see it, I would much rather be in a position where we establish hopefully an endowment for these programs over time so that we can scrape the interest off and just fund the programs. Because think about this, I've got, in some cases, some summers, 4,000 kids that apply for these programs, but we've only got the funding for, 1,000 or sometimes less than 1,000. That means we're leaving 3,000 other kids, out there. I'd rather be in a position where we could have those kids who are asking to be and want to be engaged to give them the opportunity. So that's where we really could use, the help of folks in this room and beyond this room to support kids and to support public safety and a workforce development pipeline in our community. So I'll wrap up with this. As I said earlier, everyone needs to be a part of the solution. Everyone's got a role to play in terms of public safety in Milwaukee. Everyone needs to take a part in making Milwaukee safer. So over the years, I've continued to ask teachers, preachers, mentors, friends, and especially parents to step up, to be a part of the solution. Because safety is important, not just to me, not just to you, it's important to the city's future. If we're to attract more businesses, more good paying, family supporting jobs, more tourism, more corporations, then we've got to be known as a safe place. The narrative that Joel talked about in terms of not just Milwaukee, but cities generally, the tide on that has to turn. We have to be a safer place. I want our streets to be safe and crime to be rare, and that's my goal, and that's exactly what we're working towards each and every single day in Milwaukee. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I want to really thank Mayor for being here, the county executive for being here, the district attorney for being here today. It's really important to us that you are engaged in this conversation. You have been engaged, all of you, in this conversation for as long as I can remember. I've known some of you, Kent and I have known each other for a very long time, and I'm so honored and excited and impressed that the three of you are rolling up your sleeves and really making a very strong effort around public safety. My big concern going forward, or when I was working on this talk over the weekend, was that you wouldn't be able to read the slide. I didn't realize we were going to have the biggest screen in Milwaukee. We could probably be watching movies. But I want to start with a big thank you to everybody who's been involved in this process over the last year. I want to, first of all, start with my co-chair, Sheriff Lucas is right here. Sheriff, you just stand up quickly and say hello to everybody. I guess in these kinds of pairings, one's the brains and one's the beauty, and I know I'm neither in this case. So Yurnell, thank you so much for all of your thought and consideration in doing this and being part of this GMC committee. Also want to thank Langston Verdon, the GMC staff member who has been very engaged in all of this, and the guy behind the scenes doing all the work. And of course, Joel as well, and everybody who's on this screen, which are our committee members and presenters. We've met numerous times, various locations, Beta Philanthropies, also GMC offices. And I can tell you that we've had many thoughtful and very, very spirited conversations about public safety. See, it turns out that public safety is quite complex. Not just complex because of the many layers associated with it, including law enforcement, criminal justice, government, residences, businesses, and nonprofits, but it's also complex because public safety is a personal issue, and it has emotional components to it. Everybody cares about public safety, and everybody knows a little or really a lot about public safety, kind of the weather in that way. And so we've had these very emotional, personal, spirited conversations, which has actually been really, really helpful. However, we knew that it was going to be like that, so we brought in our experts. And we had presentations from the Wisconsin Policy Forum, the Medical College of Wisconsin, the Milwaukee Office on Community Wellness and Safety, the Milwaukee County DHHS, and the Hone Foundation. All of that together gave the committee a pretty comprehensive look at the current situation and dynamics around public safety in Milwaukee. We also asked you, we asked the members of the GMC of what you thought about public safety and what your concerns were. And this is what we heard back from you. What you told us, sorry, I'm got the slides in front of me. But you told me that safe communities attract top talent, well-lit streets and clean spaces reduce crime. Public safety isn't just about cops, it's about upstream prevention, as Mayor Johnson talked about. Strong neighborhoods lead to strong local economies. Public safety includes business investment in prevention. A culture of safety starts with leadership. Safe employees mean higher retention. Streetlights and clean streets are a crime prevention tool. Youth engagement is a crime prevention strategy, again, also mentioned just a few minutes ago. We must invest in innovative policing strategies, and reducing blight and illegal dumping and investing in public spaces improves safety for all. Our research partner for this effort has been the Wisconsin Policy Forum, and Joel already spoke a little bit to this, but there's been 2 reports issued. Actually, the first report, the 2023 report, was presented here at a GMC meeting about a year ago. That report is called Under Pressure, and that explored how the pandemic had impacted the justice system in Milwaukee County and had recovered to its pre-pandemic functioning. The report had a number of key results, including a drop in district attorney charge rates, a rise in case dismissals, and a growing felony backlog in the courts. The December 2024 report that Joel mentioned, and the video was sent to you, is a follow-up to that report. That report was presented in detail to our committee. It does report that policing in Milwaukee has changed markedly over the last decade. Police are now coming into contact with residents at lower rates than they used to, and fewer arrests are being made, particularly for lower level crimes and drug possessions, vandalism, and disorderly conduct. So there's a lot of information there. I do respect, and we do respect that the crime rate has been reduced in Milwaukee over the last 2 years by 23%. Is that the number? I think. And but there's a lot of complexity to it. If you have not read this report, if you're looking for something to do in your spare time, it is an excellent report, and it is available on the WPF website. So what's our path forward with all this? We looked at 3 strategies at the task force that we thought really helped us move forward in a direction as a committee of what to look at. 3 different strategies. The first strategy being strengthening existing institutions that are responsible for delivering public safety and create an environment for better collaboration and the connection that can result in a safer, stronger community. The second strategy, focusing on targeted issues for finding effective efforts, policies, and or seeking out resources to expand or scale programming. And the third, engage in fundraising and resource development, gather to replicate proven and promising models from other communities. Where we're putting our effort now mostly is on this strategy that I mentioned, the first strategy, which is strengthening existing institutions that are responsible for delivering public safety and creating an environment for better collaboration and connection that can result in a safer, stronger community. I think we all felt that there's a tremendous amount of progress being made in collaboration and shared thinking in Milwaukee around public safety. And it's very impressive, and there's a lot of good effort going into it. I do have a personal takeaway, however, from this year of presentations and intense discussion. In fact, I think in Milwaukee, we really probably have 3 different perceptions of public safety from 3 different distinct groups and people. The first group I would describe as the professional public safety community, so that's law enforcement, criminal justice, nonprofits, and government. The second are the residents of the city of Milwaukee. And the third are the civic and business community. Each of these groups looks at public safety from a different perspective. The public safety professional community generally looks at the situation as improving. They point to a lot of collaboration between sectors and agencies. They feel like they are on the right track to improve public safety environment for Milwaukee. The second group, the residents, acknowledge that the situation is better than it used to be, but they still don't feel completely safe. and want more progress. And the third group, the civic and business community, that's us, sometimes is hard-pressed to see any improvement at all. They still see high crime rates, they still see vandalism, they still see threats to their employees and their facilities. To me, an active ingredient in all of this and these different perspectives is a lack of trust. The disparity in conclusions from the various groups around public safety, in my opinion, is really about trust. I was involved as the GMC chair over a decade ago in this issue, and at that time, I saw that the trust, even between law enforcement agencies, was quite low. A decade later, that trust is much better. But the trust needs to spread between the various constituency groups, or the public safety professionals, the residents, and the business civic community. Having people see the very same situation differently is not only unhelpful, it actually is detrimental to progress. So it's my opinion that we need to corral our passion for a safe city and work together across sectors and interests and listen to each other and come to a unified approach. This way we will make progress, and we'll make progress together based on mutual trust. We do want your involvement. If you're interested in joining this effort and you're on the GMC, please contact myself or Joel or Langston, and we would love to have your input. And finally, I just want to say that I also get to see this from a very different perspective, and that is as CEO of Vader Philanthropies. Our foundation moved our headquarters in 2018 to MLK Drive in the heart of the city. And yes, we get to see the crime. Yes, we get to see this kind of the crazy traffic stuff that happens pretty much every day with the speeding cars and the running the lights and the little crashes. And yes, we get to see some disorderly conduct, and yes, we've been vandalized, all that stuff is part of being in the city. Well, what has really, really impressed me over the years is that I get to see community pride. I get to see neighbors pulling together, neighbors protecting each other, neighbors caring for each other, neighbors helping each other. And that to me is the most powerful thing about it all. The neighbors, the citizens, the residents, they're amazing. They care a lot, they're willing to put their own effort into it, they're willing to help, they're willing to listen, they're willing to try. And so there's a lot of passion there. I hope that we can all together harness that passion. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hey everybody, so I'm Langston Verdane. I'm the Director of Strategy and Community Partnerships with the Greater Milwaukee Committee. So I am glad you all are here, and I get to turn us over to our table discussion. So we've got about 20 minutes. We have at our tables a handful of facilitators spread out throughout the room. So if you've been assigned as a facilitator, can you raise your hand? All right, so not every table has a facilitator. So that is lucky for a handful of you who get to be a volunteer facilitator, right? So there's a lot of different ways to do this, but I am going to hope that at least one of you brave professionals will volunteer at your table to be that facilitator. You have one of these sheets at every table. It's really straightforward. You have 3 questions that you will work your way through at your table. 1 primary question, a follow-up question if needed. And then what we're hoping is that you can take some notes of your discussion, okay? There's, like we said, 20 minutes, so don't spend all your time on question number 1. Try to get through every question if you can. What I would say is please be mindful of how much space you personally are taking up. If you can hear yourself talking too much, that means everybody at your table is hearing you talking too much. Allow everyone to have some time at the mic, all right? Let me see. I think that's it. I will be joining my table again. I'm the facilitator over there. If you do have, anybody have any questions? Like I said, pretty straightforward. We've got 20 minutes and then we'll come back. We've got some time to make sure we get some questions and answers with Kent, and then we'll wrap up. All right, thank you.
I know I'm mindful of the time here, so I will just shorten this. But just so you know where I'm coming from, you know, my background as a line prosecutor was in family violence, it was in gun violence, it was in large-scale drug trafficking, multi-individuals trafficking drugs as a group. So I understand the value of the long-term investigation, and it was in partnerships. And so a lot of the community partnerships we see at the neighborhood level are things I've been actively involved with for a long, long time. I understand that violent crime needs a strong response. I don't think there's any question about that. There's a good reason I have long-standing relationships with police chiefs all over this county. It's because they understand that I understand violent crime needs a strong response, and at the same time, we can respond to those struggling with addiction and mental health in a therapeutic medical way that doesn't require the resources of our justice system in most cases. So quick point, the allusion to the public policy forum reports from a couple years ago. You know, I sat down with Rob, and he'll tell you I'm as accessible as anybody when it comes to what's going on in our office and the system. And as we sat down, and I saw the data coming in from 2020, 21, 22, at the worst of COVID, you know, the numbers were unacceptable. One thing we did at that time was we met with all of our police chiefs in this county because none of the officers were meeting with our attorneys anymore face to face. Everything was being done by email, everything was being done by a phone call, nothing in terms of the sharing of the cases. And we developed a system to fix that. What happened after that was in 2023, 1,500 more cases issued, same in 2024. And I say that not because the numbers mean everything, but those types of cases are the felony level cases, which are not drug cases per se, but the violent crime type cases that we're all concerned about. So I just want to indicate to you that we are constantly assessing ourselves and what we can do better. And we have the historic partnerships with our law enforcement community and communities in our neighborhood to make that happen. So I'd like to leave you with this moving forward, because I am mindful of the time. As we think about the big picture here, I'm looking at a city like Boston that, for example, had a homicide rate last year in the entire county of 24. So we're happy with how we're doing, and we should be. I mean, we are moving in the right direction here, and I don't want to diminish that. A couple months ago, I called the DA in Boston and asked him what is going on in Boston. Now, let's keep in mind, their homicide rate when ours was over 200 was at 60. So it's been low for a considerable amount of time. So let's keep that in mind. And what he said is, they have had deep partnerships between their law enforcement, their neighborhood groups, public safety professionals, government, and private sector. They've been working these things very closely together now for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. There is no flash in the pan answer to fixing this. And as I can charge 1,500 more cases in a year, and that is not going to solve it either, I can just assure you of that, in the long term. So some of the things you heard already the mayor talk about with regard to the violence interruption, I can tell you those programs are working. They are working in neighborhoods each and every day because they are preventing people from engaging in retaliatory violent acts that are the #1 cause of shootings and homicides we're seeing already in our community. So that's a case in point of the streams we have working here. And what I would add to it that the DA in Boston told me is a very strong relationship with workforce development, with the business community, with channeling people at risk into seeing a pathway for themselves. Because we all know you have to have a vision of hope for yourself in order to feel like you're valued in a community and you care about everything else around you. And from my standpoint, that's the big picture of where I think we can go here. We have so many streams of good things happening here. I've seen it firsthand in a lot of the work I've done. And so what I hope to do is infuse whatever value we can as a system to inform that these efforts at preventing crime, at developing jobs, and connecting people to the assets in their neighborhood are all public safety strategies that work. With that, I would like to invite County Executive David Crowley to come up and talk a little bit about our public safety bill. Thank you all very much.
Well, good afternoon. I will be brief. I don't know why they let another long-winded politician come up here before letting you all out. But I just want to say, number one, first and foremost, thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you so much, Ken, for teeing up what we're doing, and appreciate the partnership with the city of Milwaukee and all the great work our folks have been doing within the Department of Health and Human Services. And so just really quickly, I just want to give you all a sense of what has been happening with this public safety building, kind of level set of where we are. You may hear us talking about the courthouse complex, right? And that's part of what we're trying to change. And there's 3 buildings that come with the courthouse complex. That is the courthouse itself, it is a criminal justice facility, which is technically the jail, and then the other building is the public safety building, which is over 100 years old. Now, since I've come into office, our public safety numbers, our costs have grown by $71 million. When we talk about public safety from the county's perspective, we're talking about the entire continuum. From when they interact with that first law enforcement coming into our doors and being released and going through the court system. And so understanding that $71 impact, we have to find efficiencies, y'all. And so if we're able to replace this public safety building, it can help us create even more efficiencies within our sheriff's office. We have over to staff our courthouse, it takes over 114 bays. There's more than 90% of the sheriff's office around the entire state of Wisconsin. And so this is going to be an incredible lift, and this will actually be the largest infrastructure project in our entire history of Milwaukee County. It's going to cost us $500 million to replace this. And one of the reasons why this is a major initiative for me is, one, Act 14 allowed us to find some financial flexibilities by getting rid of the pension system that we've been paying for so many years, but also getting the pension obligation bonds off of our folks' property taxes. But even the Brewers deal gave us a little bit of financial flexibility as well. And we want to use this momentum to really strengthen the partnership with the state of Wisconsin with this new building. We don't get to control what mandatory services come from the state. And we're not saying that we want to get rid of any of these services. What we're saying is that we need a stronger bond, a stronger relationship to make sure that justice is no longer being delivered slowly, and that we're actually providing the safety for any and everybody that walk into our public safety building. And so anything that you all can do, talking to legislators, not just here representing the Milwaukee area, but representing the entire state of Wisconsin about how important this is. And I'm gonna be very clear, this is not just a Milwaukee County issue. This is a 72 county issue. All counties across the entire state have been having to spend more of their local dollars to pay for public safety impacts across the entire state. So not only will Milwaukee County, but many counties across the entire state, as well as some of the associations, will be having this as one of our biggest priorities within the state budget and the biggest asks to make sure that we can reduce our costs, not just for our local taxpayers, but making sure that we reduce the cost of delivering the justice that you all deserve. And so I think that I was as brief as I can be. And so I do apologize if I went a few minutes over. And I think this is now a time to introduce the next speaker, which is Mr. Dave Anderson. Thank you, everybody.
Well, I'm going to make this even shorter. So I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and because I'm the youngest of 6 kids, I was always the last to get food, last to get the crew cut, and here I am, last to speak today. Right? Did you do that? Okay. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on me today. We'll have the next 2 years to do that if I get elected at the end of this particular meeting. So a reminder to the board, come up after we adjourn and we'll do that little piece of business. Done. I want to thank the speakers today, and I want to thank each of you for prioritizing your time on an issue like this. And we often hear about how bad things are, right? We also know things have improved. And I think it was refreshing to hear about all of the things that have improved in the last couple of years. So let's celebrate that. Maybe media, maybe spend a little bit more time on that, and that would be helpful. A couple other things. To those who want to be more involved in the committees, we've got all kinds of great opportunities for our membership to have a voice. Look, this place is all about the people. The city's all about the people. Each of the places that are our employers, it's all about the people. And each person has a voice. And each voice has a choice, right? To be present, engaged, and have effective challenge. So one of the things that I appreciate about GMC, and especially in these group sessions afterwards, is to effectively challenge each other, right? And frankly, under the leadership of Peg and Joel over the last couple of years, I believe that the GMC is well on its way to helping tackle some of the biggest issues we face in Milwaukee. Let's not forget, we should also be celebrating a lot of the things that we've already accomplished. So, a few things. Member Ford, you got about 2 minutes to get up here after this meeting. And Peggy, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for making the organization a better place than it was. You're leaving it in a way better place, having been here and led the organization, which is one of the reasons I said yes to you so fast. Again, I'm not the board chair yet. That's 2 minutes. But I appreciate all of your efforts, and you really have put us in a really good place for the next few years, and I'm excited about that. Peg has also done me a really big favor in leaving the tradition on monthly giveaways. And so to that end, I have our friends at Summerfest and Sarah Smith Pancheri tickets to the Ilsley Brothers Eric Benet concert at the BMO Harris Pavilion. Weird. What? Did I do this? No. Anyway. I know, but it's Marshall and Ilsley, right? So sorry. Nice and throw. Hey, I read about these guys in history class. Anyway, we'll give the packet. Kurt Bechtel. Oh, he's already gone. Yay. We'll have a new drawing. Anyway, with that, we'll adjourn today's meeting. I'll tell you about myself in the next 24 months. Thank you.
Yeah, I just dropped you.